Hey, this is MassX with a brand new Yu Yu Hakusho Slugfest video. And we've got our September 2025 tier list for global. So let's get right to it. We've had some character drops over the past month and some changes. And the first change you're going to notice in the top tier, the SPSSS tier, is moving SP Yusuke into that front slot. Why? Because now we are in mid to the beginnings of late game. If you're on the earlier servers, such as I am, so I'm taking that into account, as well as the fact of that now you're going to have more character options, you're going to have more characters built up, you're going to be moving to other characters that now you've acquired and are working on specifically, so it changes the dynamic. And this character is just pure, unadulterated power. And when teamed up with the right other characters with him, such as the main meta team, which I did a separate video for, he is an absolute juggernaut. Also too, he can be slotted in so many different teams and is very flexible and doesn't have to just be in that meta team to be productive and do a phenomenal job on the field. So that's why I've pretty much put him at the top tier of all characters. In addition to that, he's much easier for an SP to collect now than he was previously from either the shop or through some of the types of SP tickets. So now he's able to be acquired and was not just specifically for if you were a VIP. So let's move on from that. So who I placed higher up last time, Kurama, has of course slipped a spot. That doesn't discount him at all. He slots him very well in all different team dynamics, from trauma, pretty much anything. You know, his toxin is just vicious. But again, now I look and see where the game's at on my server, where players are starting to move to and what's being used. So yeah, he falls a bit. Hiei is still up there too, an absolute amazing DPS, trauma based of course, who absolutely does stellar stuff. And of course, Kuwabara is up there, in addition to the fact of they're just all great characters, and I went over them much more in detail in the prior tier list video. If you haven't seen that and want to hear a little bit more, go for it. But there's also something else that opens up as you progress through the game. And that, of course, is the SP Sigil section. And that also will play a basis on power for characters and team builds. And if you haven't gotten there yet, I believe it opens at level 70. Yes, level 70. You will notice in that area, if you haven't gotten there yet, Hiei, Master of the Darkness Flame, Kuwabara, Dimension Sword, Yusuke, of course, Son of the Battle God, Genkai, Spirit Wave, Secret Technique, and Younger Toguro 100% are in that. And in that area, you have the availability to get Sigil passives that will complement these characters as well as your team. So you have to keep that in mind, so I put them up there. Now that doesn't mean I put all of them up there, because as you can see, Genkai and Younger Toguro aren't there. That doesn't discount the value of the Sigil Skill Awakening area. But those two characters, and we'll talk about this in a second, I think are a little bit more niche, or you build your team more around them. And the flexibility that you have with these top characters that I've already spoken about is, if you've played with them, you know you can slot them in. Yes, you can make them better by specific team builds, but they can still do so much just on their own. And our newest arrival up there, who is now an SPSS tier character, is of course Ryzen. Ryzen complements Yusuke and vice versa very well. They also have the co-op battle mechanic with the two of them. In addition to that, his tremble is really good, as well as his furious and fury. And he's just an awesome tank, period. Does so much. The shields, he really helps the characters there on either side of them. Just a really solid character and can work pretty well with other team builds. Doesn't just have to be that meta team. And when you get him higher and higher starred up, he just is an absolute beast on the field. And even though being a tank can do some crazy damage at times, so he, in my opinion, is deserving to be in that tier. Now, to the SPSS tier, you're going to see quite a few new characters and, of course, some changes, as I talked about. Genkai's still there. I think she's a really good, solid unit. She's just not to the level of the other ones. Now, one of our newest units, where people may disagree with me having Mikuro in this SPSS tier, but I don't feel she's deserving, and I'll explain to you guys why. And yes, I'm going to hear that she's great for single target damage. She can systematically remove characters one by one on the field. Yes. She has the ability to switch, from front to back. And her dynamic is crazy and different. And yes, I agree. And can do crazy damage on bosses. I agree too. But as I spoke about when I did a separate video on this character and went over all the character's skills, secret skills, awakens, etc., the character itself, kind of like how the character is in the manga, is kind of, not as much of a team player as you would expect. Loves the battle, loves the one-on-one. That's how this character is. Is the character really good? There isn't a bad SP character, so let's put that aside. Yes. But this character, in my opinion, is just wanting to be there to fight. It does some stuff. It doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't play nice, because the character does play nice with other teams. But when you're looking to build a complete team that really is flowing with all the characters in it, and they're helping everybody out and this and that, this character is just more of, let me do all the work, you all sit here. Also too, I'm just not a fan of some of the mechanics with the character, like the loss of sheer blade and raging waves when an allied companion is defeated. So to me, the character is solid, but isn't deserving of that SSS tier. Next up is Enki, who is, again, like I'm going to say, a great character, but really, Enki really just wants to be on a trauma team, okay? So if your main team's a trauma team and you got Enki, you can really use Enki to its fullest. So it doesn't have as much interchangeability as the other characters I've spoken about, and that's why I put Enki into this SS tier. Last but not least for the newer characters that we've gotten is Soketsu. Again, and I did a whole video going over Soketsu and all of the skills and everything for this character in a prior video. But this character is solid. It likes to control. It's a support character. It's classified defensive. really solid character. But the character itself is not going to just flourish completely without the right builds, especially if you like control builds and you're going with a lot of skill point manipulation. So Ketsu is phenomenal for a team of that. But again, just doesn't get all the way up to that SS tier because of that, and because you're free to play players and you're light spenders, this is more likely going to be a skip that type of character, or an end key, because you have to weigh the value of the characters, as well as, of course, you want to get your favorite characters first. It just diminishes the value to a certain degree for some of these characters, so that's why they are there. Now, Younger Toguro, 100% who I had in the SSS tier, I've dropped down. The more I use this character, and don't get me wrong, very good character, it's a ramping character, but you really need to build a team around this character. We've talked about it before. SP Genkai works really well with this character too. They're hand in hand. But again, it's not a perfect character. It's not the character with full interchangeability like I've talked about before. If you want a really good sustain, want to build a great sustain team with Younger Toguro there as your ramping DPS, he's might be the best in the game when it comes to that. But again, you're building around Younger Toguro 100% versus the others, some of them being able to just slot in and boom. So that's why I felt it was time to bring Younger Toguro 100% down. Now looking at our S tier, it's really the only place I did any major changes to. And as usual, this video is going much longer than I wanted it to. But now that we're getting mid and beginning to approach late game to a certain degree on our server, adjustments had to be made for the now characters coming in and their importance as you play further into harder content, etc. And of course, nobody's going to be shocked that you're going to see Rinku, Sasuga, and Dr. Ichigaki all basically slotted as your top S tier characters. Some would disagree with that, might say still Jin and Younger Toguro like I had it before, but I think they're, when played effectively, they're just too good. And when all of their exclusives are available, everybody will really just see how good they actually can be. Because I think right now all we have is the exclusive for Rinku, nobody else. Now some might be going, why is Roto all the way down to the very end? And yes, I moved Roto up because it's justifiable, especially because the use of that meta team is going to become more prevalent more and more and help you get through harder and harder content. But out of the four, Roto to me is the least necessary. Does that discount the character's value? No, not at all. I use Roto now. I mean, he's easy to just freaking max build because he's not an SP or an SSR character. But the character itself is not important as Rinku, Sasuga, and Dr. Ichigaki, because they are true support manipulators where Roto is not. So yes, Roto is S tier now, but not to the degree that a lot of players might think. And again, personal opinion, that's just mine. Outside of that, I don't think I made really any other significant changes in the S bracket. It pretty much flies through the same. Toya was in S tier before, now gets even a little bit more value because you have Mikuro. So if you want that frozen, Toya is great to have slotted in with Mikuro. So keep that in mind if that's a team you're looking to build. But outside of that, nothing much else has really changed as I play through more and more. I'm still using Jin a lot. I'm still using Botan a lot. I'm still using that Kurama a lot, etc. Their value is exponential, especially when you're building more than one team build. And this is going to round out the tier list, the A, B, and C brackets. Again, as I said previously, A, serviceable, decent characters. B, wouldn't necessarily build unless you need them for something specific. And if you do, then they may be that puzzle piece you're looking for. And C, I just haven't had much value in team builds I've done with those particular characters. Again, all these characters have different skills, effects, and some can be very beneficial for a specific build that you want to do, and they may fill a hole that you may not have with somebody else. So always read through the characters, and you may find a diamond in the rough sometimes that could maximize the team build you're wanting to do at that time. But that is pretty much going to wrap this up. This is my global Yu Yu Hakusho Slugfest tier list as of the characters released at this time for server 13. Again, if you're in a later server, you may not have all these characters. You can go back and look at my prior tier list. But again, any of these characters you see up here, if you're even starting or just now breaching some of them, in my opinion, you will get more value from. So keep them in mind when you want to build them. So, alrighty, I think that wraps it up. So with that, as always, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Have a great day.